Good afternoon. For decades, he was the face of Canadian national news.
We're remembering legendary journalist and our colleague Lloyd Robertson today, who died at the age of 92. And CTV's Mike Walker is following this story. And Mike, this one impacts us here at CTV, many viewers as well, and the news world.
That's right, Nathan and Michelle. A reassuring guide, a calm voice, and generous is how Lloyd Robertson is being remembered by longtime viewers and former colleagues. We're standing next to his plaque here along Canada's Walk of Fame in downtown Toronto, just outside Roy Thomson Hall, where all morning people have been walking by, stopping to pause and reflect on the anchor's legacy. Now, Robertson was inducted into Canada's Walk of Fame in 2007. He was the first journalist to receive the honor. Robertson was a prominent figure in Canadian journalism, serving as the chief news anchor and senior editor for CTV National News from 1984 to 2011. He helped guide Canadians through national and world events, many telling us he was a man of integrity who they trusted and tuned into every single night.
He was an excellent professional, very highly regarded, very knowledgeable.
He was so professional. I think he was a wonderful representative of journalism in Canada. He always had an interesting perspective, and I think people trusted him. I think he was a really special journalist.
When I first came to Canada, like his voice was like kind of captivating. It was great to see someone like speaking English so eloquent and beautifully.
He was a fantastic news anchor, very comforting and able to deliver the news in a very reassuring way.
We're also hearing similar tributes in Markham, where Lloyd Robertson was a longtime resident and had a park named in his honor. The city announcing today that they have lowered flags at the Markham Civic Center in Lloyd Robertson's honor. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Robertson's also being remembered by those here at this company and this industry.
Both for his legendary work on air and for the wonderful person he was off the air.
He was a sensitive soul. He was kind, notwithstanding the fact that he had probably one of the most important jobs in this country. And people looked up to him. They respected him. They looked at him with awe. He was a genuinely sweet, kind, and lovable man. Lovable. You know, he would come up and give me a hug. How's it going? How are things going? He was there if I needed to talk to someone about what was going on at work. He was there with the praise. He was there with the criticisms, the kind criticisms. He was always there.
He was an incredible man, and I was so lucky to have worked with him for over 20 years. You know, he was a real champion of women. And when I took over as the first woman executive producer of the CTV National News, it was really important to him that everybody really, see that this, young woman was now in charge of a newscast, which at the time there weren't many women in newsrooms. And he would come into the newsroom all the time and he would call me boss, to make sure that everybody knew that I was the boss. And it was really important for him that women be promoted at a time when women weren't promoted.
In the sports world, they talk about GOATs, right? Greatest of all time. Lloyd was a GOAT. He was our GOAT in the broadcast business. He was the greatest of all time, and he will remain that way. So, it's a sad day, but it's also a day to celebrate a remarkable career that had an impact on all of us.
He truly was a beautiful human. Our condolences to his entire family. And for more on the flood of tributes to the one and only Lloyd Robertson, check out our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
And we have more news in a moment, but first a look at the forecast. Here's a live shot of the city. A lovely, beautiful, sun-shining day. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison for a look at the current conditions. And I know it's not going to last forever, but at least we got some sunshine today.
Well, we are going to enjoy today, Nathan. Lots of sun, and as you mentioned, it is quite lovely for spending time outside. It is hot, though, 27 degrees already at this hour. You likely felt it if you've been outside in the direct sun. 28 degrees right now in Niagara Falls, 25 in Muskoka. Feeling feeling more like 30. So there is a humidex factor today. Winds out of the southeast right now, they're pretty light. And with all that sun out there today, you'll want the SPF. We are at an 8 or very high right across the board here when it comes to the UV index. There is some wet weather coming. In fact, you can already see it on our satellite and radar. It is still well off to the northwest, but it is going to impact us somewhat into the day tomorrow. Today, though, 29 degrees, going to feel like 34 with a mainly sunny sky here in the GTA. Stay with us. We will take you through the forecast for the rest of the week and into the weekend coming up. But for now, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Toronto police have made hundreds of arrests and laid more than 4,000 charges in a major crackdown on retail crime.
Police say the thefts involve more than $1 million in stolen merchandise and has connections to organized crime. CB24's crime analyst Steve Ryan has more on this major crackdown. Steve.
Yeah, Nathan and Michelle, you often hear police managers talk about intelligence-led approach to policing, and this is a great example of that. The investigators were able to analyze the data with the assistance of a crime analyst, and that data indicated as to where the resources should be allocated, where the attention should be focused on, and up in 23 Division, under the leadership of Superintendent Ron Tavner, 23 Division put together an investigative team 2 years ago that focused solely on retail thefts, and as a result, today we heard the results of this investigative endeavor. 546 people arrested, 4,000 charges laid. So this, again, is a great example of how when the data is analyzed and studied and the resources are allocated in the right areas, a lot of organized crime can be disrupted and dismantled as the police focus their attention on a specific occurrence that is occurring, if you will, over and over again. Now, here at the Toronto Police Headquarters, we heard from Superintendent Tavner earlier on. Here are some of his remarks.
Our investigations show that many of those involved are not first-time offenders. In fact, of the arrested made, 259 cleared multiple cases, demonstrating that repeat and prolific offenders are out there and active in their criminal activities. These offenders are often also connected to larger organized crime networks involved in the distribution and resale of stolen goods. That's why tackling these crimes is so significant.
When it comes to managing crime and disorder, one of the goals is not only to make a community safe, but you want them to feel safe as well. If they feel safe, they will not alter their day-to-day lives. The quality of their lives won't be as affected as if they perceive there to be some sort of danger happening in the community. Perception is reality. With good police work, you make a community safer and you make them feel safe as well. And it is one of the effective outcomes of very good, effective investigative work, as we've seen today from the 23 Division investigators. Send it back to the desk.
All right, CB24 Steve Ryan, thank you. Premier Doug Ford called by-elections in 3 ridings. A writ was issued today for by-elections in Scarborough Southwest, York Simcoe, and Hamilton East Stony Creek. Under the Election Act, elections must be called on a Wednesday and held on the 5th Thursday after the date of the issue of the writ. That means voting day for all 3 ridings is September 3rd.
The fire on the 7th floor of a building on Islington near the 401 broke out just after 5:30 this morning. Toronto Fire Chief Jim Jessup says there was no e-bike in the unit, but lithium-ion batteries were charging inside. Platoon Chief Peter Rappo says there have been 76 fires involving these batteries in the city this year.
Because we have seen a large number of these lithium-ion batteries, Toronto Fire has trained for this. All our staff is very aware of the toxic gases produced by these and aware their breathing apparatus 100% anytime they're around these incidents and anytime they encounter any sort of smoke. It is what Toronto Fire does. We are there to mitigate incidences that arise, and if it's caused by a lithium-ion battery or an unattended pot-on stove, we attend and do what we need to do to mitigate the situation.
Now, this fire comes one day after an apartment fire in St. Jamestown injured 4 people, including 2 children. Now, the cause of that fire is still under investigation, but officials did say yesterday e-bikes were on the balcony of the unit and lithium-ion batteries were inside.
A teenager is facing charges following a rollover that happened overnight in the Eglinton and Winona Drive area. It happened around 2:30 in the morning. Police say the vehicle struck several parked cars before flipping onto its side. The driver had to be pulled out of the fire by fire crews, make that. The 19-year-old was then taken to hospital with minor injuries. Police say he's been charged with careless driving. The Gordie Howe International Bridge opened to pedestrians and cyclists for the first time this morning. Officials say lines for the multi-use path are long today, but they remind people this bridge has an estimated 125-year lifespan, so there will be many opportunities to walk or bike across. A Windsor man camped out for 28 hours to be the first Canadian to cross into the U.S. on the newly opened 2.5-kilometer path. The bridge connects Windsor and Detroit. Meanwhile, Canada's point person on trade with the U.S. is back in Washington this week. A government source says Dominic LeBlanc arrived in D.C. yesterday morning. His schedule includes meeting with industry groups who'd like to see the CUSMA trade deal renewed, as well as various American senators and members of Canada's bargaining team. It's not known how long LeBlanc will be there. Like last week, he's joined by Canada's chief trade negotiator, Janice Charette. A new survey finds nearly 70% of Canadians say they are not likely to buy U.S. alcohol, even if it were to be restored on liquor store shelves. Just 16% of respondents in the Nanos poll for CTV News say they would be likely or somewhat likely to purchase booze from south of the border if they had the chance. Canadians aged 55 and older were more likely to report not buying U.S. alcohol than those between the ages of 18 and 34. The poll has a margin of error of 3 percentage points and is considered accurate 19 times out of 20. The federal government announced it's investing more than $2 billion to boost the military's satellite communications in the Arctic. It's all part of Mark Carney's pledge to defend, build, and transform the far north. And the Canadian firm Telesat has been tapped to do it. CTV's Mike Lecouteur has more on the investment and what it means.
The satellite controllers at Telesat are going to have a lot more eyes in the sky thanks to a multi-billion-dollar Canadian government contract. The Ottawa-based company is expanding its number of satellites from 156 to 225, and it's all to help Canada's military in the Arctic.
This capability that we're delivering them will be used to support jet fighters, aerial drones, Navy ships, forward operating bases.
The satellites will help expand the already existing network, and there will be a spillover effect for residents of the far north, where connectivity is a huge issue.
Backbone to Arctic security is going to be our ability to communicate in the Arctic, and this is it.
Retired Major General Scott Clancy is the former Director of Operations for NORAD. He says once it's up and running, the constellation of satellites will bolster defense across the globe.
Make sure that everybody has the communications they need to be able to fight and move and survive in the Arctic regions. That helps the United States, it helps the continent, and it helps NATO allies counter our adversaries.
Buying Canadian is one of the goals of the government's defense industrial strategy, but it's also to maintain sovereignty over the network, something that wouldn't happen if Canada went with Starlink, which is owned by Elon Musk.
The command and control and communications to be able to do that, therefore, need to be sovereign and not at the whim of someone else who can literally remove this, as we have seen in other conflicts.
The new satellites will be made by MDA in Montreal and are expected to be in service by early 2028. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Wildfires continue to burn in northern Ontario. Here's a look at the latest numbers. There were 45 active fires in northeast region as of shortly before 6:30 last night. One of them was considered out of control. The Ministry of Natural Resources also confirmed one new fire in the region yesterday. In the northwest, the MNR reported 2 new blazes by last night for a total of 113. 17 have not been contained.
Meanwhile, the Bradley Creek fire on the west side of Okanagan Lake has triggered a series of evacuation orders, forcing about 8,000 people from their homes across BC. For more on this, let's go live to CTV Scott Hurst. Scott, I know it's a situation we've been following for quite a while now. What's the latest on the fires and the evacuations?
Nathan, good afternoon. There was a lot of devastation in British Columbia today as families are learning that their homes have been destroyed as part of this Bradley Creek fire by Okanagan Lake on the north side near the town of Vernon. But the devastation isn't just limited to one area, as there are dozens of emergency orders and alerts remaining in effect across multiple regions of the province. The Okanagan Indian Band Reserve Chief Dan Wilson confirming more than 200 homes have been destroyed. This is from the Bradley Creek fire burning near Okanagan Lake. The chief saying it looked like a war zone, taking a helicopter tour of the devastation. This fire only started on Friday, fanned by strong winds and the hot, dry conditions. It quickly forced the community to leave their homes behind. Now, right across the province, there are 116 active wildfires right now. Roughly 50 are still burning out of control, and more than half a dozen have even sparked in just the past 24 hours. And so far throughout the entire year, Nathan, chewing through more than 300,000 hectares of land this year in British Columbia.
And what about the effort to contain these fires, get them under control? How are they doing there?
It is quite a difficult effort to get these fires under control. Of course, crews on the ground have been able to contain some of the fires, but many are still burning out of control, including the Bradley Creek fire that we mentioned. As I said, it just flared up on Friday. It has grown now to nearly 30 square kilometers. I want you to hear from one woman who found out that she has lost her home as part of that fire.
It was a very surreal moment. And for me and my family, just taking it day to day, there's very few words that can really explain everything that we're going through. But highs and lows, and more lows right now. But I do remember the darkness and just the sound of the wind and the flames and a lot of crackling and popping, and yeah.
Just incredibly difficult for her and hundreds of others in British Columbia right now whose lives have been upended. And even with all the devastation already, BC still has a difficult week ahead. And we're just getting into August. July and August, typically the hottest, driest months. And the BC Wildfire Service says temperatures this week should get into the mid-30s in some regions, with dry lightning also in the forecast for later this week. That has the potential to be the perfect recipe for disaster. And according to the BC Wildfire Service, so far this year, 440 fires in the province have been caused by lightning. That is half of all fires that have flared up in the province this year, Nathan.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
And wildfire smoke continues to push through the jet stream weeks after parts of this area experienced the worst air quality in the world.
Now we're learning how experts track air quality and how far that smoke can travel. CTV's Colton Weens explains.
Unfortunately, we are seeing longer wildfire seasons. We're also seeing areas that usually are not impacted by wildfires, highly impacted by wildfires.
Wildfires are burning across Ontario and Canada, situations that can quickly grow. And it just takes some changing winds to put areas like southern Ontario under poor air quality again.
Last year, we were able to detect how the Canadian wildfires were actually spreading throughout parts of southern Europe.
If those winds do line up in a given direction from the surface to higher levels of the atmosphere, that can tend to create streamers of wildfire smoke that can travel for thousands of kilometers. And as we saw a few weeks ago, not only affecting air quality in southern Ontario from fires in northwestern Ontario, but also affecting communities in the northeastern U.S.
When winds push smoke, there's really no way of slowing it down.
There are 8 million people per year that die from air pollution. So if you really think about it in that terms, there's so much that we can do to help to save human health if we focus on the air quality.
Switzerland-based IQ Air makes and sells air purifiers and monitors. They also operate a network of data that anyone with their monitors can provide information to.
Really, truly try to give people hyper-local data. So that's the station that's closest to them, and we want people to have the most accurate information to make informed choices.
In Ontario, the province maintains 38 monitoring stations, checking fine particulate matter, surface-level ozone, and sulfur dioxide, all used by Environment Canada for their forecasting.
But also IQ Air, Purple Air, and some other sites as well, just to compare and contrast the readings to see how they've got the smoke plumes moving with time and things of that nature.
And as technology monitoring wildfires increases, Dolphin Hammes says the season is only getting worse and suggests that everyone check air quality throughout the day, especially during these summer months. Colton Ween, CTV News, Kitchener.
17 people were killed in Russian attacks on Kyiv and its surrounding region today. Dozens of others were injured as Ukraine's depleted air defenses failed to stop any of the incoming missiles. The barrage lasted about 2 hours and was the latest in a series of large-scale missile strikes. It's unclear how many interceptors Ukraine has left. President Volodymyr Zelensky has pleaded with other countries, especially the U.S., to send more of the interceptors used in the American-made Patriot system.
In the Middle East, the Israeli military began targeted strikes in southern Lebanon today. Israel says the attacks were in response to what it called a Hezbollah violation, a day after the latest round of peace talks. Lebanon says one person was killed and 12 others were injured. The Israelis said they had issued an evacuation warning, insisting they would act against the Iranian-backed group in the area. It was the first online warning by the military for Lebanon in more than a month.
Meantime, U.S. President Donald Trump says a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz could happen today or tomorrow. Closure of the waterway has driven up the price of gas and basic goods, impacting the global economy. The U.S. and Iran reached a deal to reopen the strait back in June, only for attacks to resume. Regional officials say Iranian and Omani negotiators have finalized a draft agreement to reopen the strait, but are awaiting final approval from Iran's supreme leader.
Scientists are certain part of a wayward SpaceX rocket slammed into the moon this morning, as predicted. The second stage of a SpaceX rocket that launched a pair of lunar landers had been drifting off course for the past year. The space debris was expected to slam into the lunar surface at 2:35 a.m. The 8,700-kilometer collision has yet to be officially confirmed, but space tracking experts insist it was inevitable that the leftover rocket segment plowed into the moon. SpaceX says a combination of solar activity and gravity accidentally put it on a collision course with our closest celestial neighbor.
Well, we are now a couple of days removed from it, but I do want to reflect back on some of the rainfall totals from the long weekend, because as we know, there were some major flood problems, especially around Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, and these numbers would be staggering on their own. However, it had been a very soggy couple of weeks with several rounds of rain totaling close to 100 millimeters. And we've got some more wet weather on the way, starting potentially tomorrow and then likely continuing into Friday and perhaps the weekend too. But this evening should be dry. All systems go for your evening plans. Maybe that includes a trip to the soccer park. Stay with us. We've got a full look at your weekend weather forecast after this break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Let's talk about the forecast. Bright, sunny skies. It looks good out there, but I think a lot of us are feeling a little bit down because of the sad news about our mentor, someone who I had a great relationship as well. You know, when I was new here, there's a lot of uncertainty, and he just made me feel so good about myself by just being so encouraging and supportive. Truly an inspiration. So we're going to miss Lloyd.
Lloyd was one of a kind, and you watch working in news, especially when you grow up watching somebody, and then you meet them in person. And you think, oh, what are they really like? He was beyond any expectation you ever had. The most gentle, kind, like wonderful man and had time for everyone. I don't know, so many people loved him. I don't know how he had time for everybody to send everybody emails, but he was just like that, you know, and I think he was just made to do the news, and he did such an exceptional job and lived a beautiful life.
Yeah, it was like he was traditional and old school, yet contemporary and modern. So we could all learn from him, no matter what era.
I think it's because when Lloyd started, there weren't women in news.
Right.
And then women started to enter the fray, and he was their biggest champion. He really was. And I think that's so wonderful.
We could talk all day. Not a lot of diversity either back then. And then Lloyd just embraced me like, you're perfect for this.
Mm-hmm.
Your turn. You must have a Lloyd story.
I do have a Lloyd story, a couple of them. I love that he remembered everyone's name after the first time. I met him for the first time in Stratford, his hometown. I was there with CTV Kitchener for a special show. He had time for everyone, including all the viewers who had come out that day. It was so beautiful to see. And then I was lucky enough to run into him in the hallways here at Agent Court a few times after he had retired, but he was still around, and yeah, what a treasure. We're going to miss him so much.
All right, to the forecast. At least we got sunny skies.
We've got a great weather day today. You can get outside, you can enjoy, although it is a little bit hot already, and through this afternoon we're expecting it to feel like the mid-30s. It's not so unsettled today, but some active weather is possible tomorrow. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. And beautiful blue sky today. As mentioned, chance of active weather starting tomorrow. Also the risk of some showers and thunderstorms as we move into Friday and then into the weekend. So temperature-wise, let's start there. Already we are at 26 degrees at Pearson Airport. It does feel more like 30. You're going to find it a little cooler today in parts of northern Ontario. Hey, Wasaga Beach is the hot spot of the province right now at 28 degrees, and our record to beat today is about 36. So that's unlikely, but again, it's going to feel like it once you take that humidity into consideration. Warm tonight, a low of 20 degrees, and then tomorrow very similar temperature-wise. But yes, we start off sunny, then we've got the risk of thunderstorms in the afternoon, and not just here in the GTA, but really right across southern Ontario. So just be mindful of this. It's not an all-day active weather event. It's mainly in the afternoon, and some of those storms could be a little isolated in nature. Here's a look at a cold front. You can see it's starting to sink south, and it's going to impact some parts of the Nickel Belt region today, perhaps late day in parts of cottage country too. But for us, locally around Toronto, we see a bit of an increase in cloud cover late this afternoon, and then the active weather again for tomorrow, Friday, and possibly Saturday as well. So there's a look at tomorrow. Chance of some scattered, isolated showers and storms. Waking up Friday morning, it's possible that we will encounter some wet weather. Then it dries out. Chance of showers and storms again as we make our way into the early evening. Your 7-day forecast shows chance of wet weather for Saturday as well, but I think there's going to be several dry periods and some sunshine also. Pretty consistent temperature-wise. It's still going to feel a little muggy at times into the weekend and early next week, feeling into the 30s, and it looks like a chance of showers again on Monday, but Sunday looks great. Wall-to-wall sunshine expected so far. That's your look at the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. It was an historic day in Victoria, BC, as the Snowbirds performed their final show in the provincial capital for at least a few years. It was a mix of excitement and sadness for thousands who came out to watch. Now, after 55 years putting on shows in the sky, the Canadian Forces aerobatic team will be grounded until the early 2030s while their fleet is replaced. The Snowbirds' final show is in California on October 11th. Just ahead, researchers at the University of Guelph are using AI to help wheat farmers, and it requires just taking a picture. Details just ahead.
Sometimes the best meals come from places that never tried to be trendy. Today we're taking a seat at an East York Greasy Spoon, where hearty breakfast, homemade comfort food, and friendly smiles have been serving a neighborhood for generations. Let's check it out. The Ginger Man is the kind of neighborhood spot that keeps people coming back. It captures the charm of a traditional local eatery where the hardworking family staff makes people feel right at home. Take it up. Take it up. Thank you, Nora. Whether you're stopping in for a hearty breakfast, a satisfying lunch, or simply a good cup of coffee and conversation, the Ginger Man delivers the kind of simple, satisfying dining experience that has made community restaurants a lasting part of Toronto's food scene. How are you different from other Greasy Spoons or diners? What makes this special?
So what makes this place special is the Ginger Man's been here for 66, 67 years. So we have a lot of people that have come here as kids, now they've grown up, and now they're bringing their grandkids here as well. So it's become a staple in the community just for the longevity of it. And the portion sizes as well, they're very good.
Very good. That's really important.
Pick up, Bill! Pick up, let's go, Bill! I got a nice small sandwich for you here as well.
Wow.
This is our toasted Western with cheese.
Are you going to come with a run for me later to burn off these? This looks amazing.
There you are.
All right.
So that's the toasted Western with cheese. We've got ham, onions, and then some cheese in there as well. This is a staple. This is what we're known for here. I've had people travel from the UK to come have the sandwich here, or whenever they're in the city, they have to stop in here and have it.
This is delicious. Yeah, it's really good. I'm not surprised.
This is our next meal, the Ginger Man Sampler. So what we've got here is we've got 3 eggs cooked however you like.
Yeah.
Ham, sausage, bacon, home fries, toast. You have a choice between white, brown, or rye, and then you have a choice between pancakes or French toast. It's home when you're when it's Saturday.
Perfect part of a balanced breakfast. Yes, love that. Oh wow, it's a huge club.
It's all white meat, and then we've got our lettuce, tomato, and bacon as well with the French fries. You got your mayo on the side.
All right, here we go. We're going in. In a city filled with changing trends, it's places like the Ginger Man that remind us of the comfort of consistency. Great food, familiar faces, warm welcome. Sometimes that's exactly what it takes to make a memorable meal. For more details, check out cb24.com.
A small photo could make a big difference for wheat farmers.
Researchers at the University of Guelph have developed a free AI app that detects one of the crop's most damaging diseases. CTV's Jeff Pickle explains.
Just above knee height here. So what you'd want to do is open the app up on your phone, take the picture.
From the field to the lab, researchers at the University of Guelph are working to improve yields.
So you can see here, for every plot, we have to draw a box around each wheat head in the image.
What started as a research project has turned into an app that can help farmers detect Fusarium head blight, one of the most destructive diseases affecting wheat production.
We focus a lot on breeding for resistance to the disease. And one of the ways we have to do that is evaluating plots out in the field and testing if the lines are resistant to the pathogen or not.
The concept is simple, but the technology is not. Take a picture of a wheat field and let AI do the rest.
So we're trying to develop a way that's a lot more accurate at actually determining the degree of infection within each plot.
A helpful and free tool for farmers.
Farmers can also use this to help gauge what they're having in how much infection is out in their field, and it allows them a little bit of leeway so that they can employ some different practices to minimize the impact of the disease.
Also helpful for researchers looking to create more resilient strains of wheat.
We're losing farmland at a relatively rapid rate, so we need to be able to actually increase the production that we have on the farmland that we do already grow on.
McConaughey says so far 250 producers have downloaded the app, and all information used in the app is retained by the farmers and not used in their research.
So this wheat is a little bit too mature. For the app to work, you need to be green.
McConaughey says they are updating the app to make it better for next year, and it will remain free to use.
We benefited a lot in our research from open source models, and we've taken advantage of this a lot in order to actually employ all of this. So we just wanted to continue that trend and give back so people can build on this and use it to actually benefit themselves.
Jeff Pickle, CTV News, Guelph.
With summer vacation season in full swing, some companies as well as cities in the U.S. are trying to lure Canadians to visit.
But as CTV's Paul Hollingsworth found, some tourists chose to stay north of the border for a vacation.
On a hot summer day,
ring off the rope without untying the knot.
The busy Halifax waterfront offers a snapshot of the tourism vibe in this province.
We're 29% ahead of passenger counts based on this time last year.
Tourism operators say business is on track for a record-breaking year, locally and nationally. According to Stats Canada, tourism revenue across the country has climbed almost 6% compared to the same time frame in 2019. 2025.
We're having increased Americans taking advantage of the American dollar. We're seeing Canadians stay home.
Donna Riani and her husband are visiting from Boston for the first time.
Well, obviously the U.S. is not a friendly neighbor anymore.
Given the recent tariff tensions between the two countries, Riani is here to see the sights and show support for her northern neighbors.
It's something I wanted to do. It's nice.
As Americans visit Canada, Canadians continue to travel within this country. Domestic tourism remains strong. David Martel from Quebec City was tempted to travel to the U.S., but he decided to stay in his home country.
For now, I'm going to support the local markets.
The trend of Canadians refusing to travel south of the border is taking a bite out of U.S. tourism. To attract more travelers, Porter Airlines is offering 20% off flights from Canadian cities to New York from August until December. New York is tossing in hotel discounts and cheaper tickets for Broadway shows.
And we're offering 30% off of 85+ tourism attractions.
Martel says thanks, but no thanks.
Maybe in a couple of years.
He'll spend his vacation money in his home country as the tourism industry continues to surge from coast to coast. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
There are new questions today about Conestoga College's $33 million deficit.
After a recent financial report, the unions representing faculty and support staff are demanding answers about how the college got here. CTV's Heather Senerin reports.
Conestoga College is in a $32.8 million deficit for its most recent fiscal year, a big difference from 2025 when they were in a $121 million surplus.
I mean, the swing is massive. Again, as I've stated before, it's somebody was writing checks that they thought they would be able to cash in the future with no consideration of the river of money ending at some point.
According to a recently released internal document, tuition plummeted by 57% as international student enrollment collapsed.
Universities and colleges in general have two really large expenses: faculty, facilities. And unfortunately, those costs only go in one direction.
This economist says the 2024 federal government cap on international students made an impact.
And unfortunately, when the federal government does a 180 on immigration, a lot of post-secondary institutions were relying on those immigrants to basically fill the seats and pay 3 times the tuition of locals.
The unions representing faculty and support staff say it's not enough to blame changes to international student enrollment.
There's been no oversight. By the Board of Governors is supposed to be oversight. By the ministry is supposed to be oversight. There's no oversight, no accountability that we can see.
In May, the provincial government fired the Board of Governors after an audit was done that found so-called egregious financial decisions. The unions say the findings of the audit should be made public, especially after the financial report was made public, highlighting the major deficit.
Here is a damning report, but how did we get here? Where did all that money go? Is it in a mattress somewhere?
May was also when the province appointed Linda Franklin as administrator.
This curtain, iron curtain of secrecy and exclusion that's been at the college for over almost 4 decades. It's time to end, but we see no evidence of that ending with Linda Franklin coming into the picture. Nothing has changed.
The unions claim they were told they would meet with Franklin soon, but they say it still hasn't happened.
I don't even know if Linda Franklin is a human being. I'm beginning to wonder if she's an AI bot.
CTV News reached out to Conestoga College for comment on the union's claims about not meeting Franklin, releasing the audit, and about an alleged lack of transparency, but the college did not respond by airtime. Heather Senerin, CTV News, Kitchener.
Coming up on CTV News at noon, an Ontario man is lacing up for a very, very long run. We'll have more on his journey just ahead.
While some find running any distance can be a challenge, an Ottawa man is preparing for an ultra-marathon. The total distance, 320 kilometers.
Roughly the same distance from Toronto to Buffalo and back. Camille Wilson laces up to find out why he's doing it.
Rudy Asir is gearing up for the biggest run of his life.
All day, all night.
You keep going, no stopping until you finish this thing.
Physically preparing for a 200-mile ultramarathon and raising awareness for those suffering with mental health.
As difficult as life may be, one step at a time, things can get better. And the biggest thing is you're not alone. All the way through the Rockies.
Starting August 10th, Asir will have 5 days to complete the 100-hour race across Alberta, something the endurance athlete has been training for.
I've done a couple 100-mile ultramarathons in the past, and I just love pushing my body to seeing what it's capable of doing.
This test is also a personal one for Asir, running the race to honor his sister, Martha.
Unfortunately, mental illness got the better of her. She suffered from bipolar disease and really had a struggle and a hard time trying to get access to resources and things.
Running the 200 miles, this is something that even me thinking about gives me chest pain.
Dr. Quadro Karamanting, ICU physician at the Ottawa Hospital, says the mental health crisis is something he deals with on a regular basis in the intensive care unit.
The amount of people that are coming in with self-harm, that commit suicide, and in some ways it feels like these issues are getting worse, especially for our youth.
As an advocate for mental health, it's a test Asir is determined to finish and inspire others.
Ultimately, the message is super clear that you're not alone, and if you need help, please reach out. I really hope that this sheds a light on it, that, hey, this is wild and crazy, and maybe I could do something interesting like this.
Camille Wilson, CTV News.
And you're watching CTV News on this beautiful sunny day. We'll take a short break, but when we return, more on the life and legacy of our former colleague, Lloyd Robertson.
Before we leave you this afternoon, we're going to go back to our top story. Former CTV News chief anchor and senior editor Lloyd Robertson has died at the age of 92.
CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin now with a look back at his life and incredible career.
So that's the kind of day it's been on this Thursday.
Along with that nightly sign-off.
Hello.
Lloyd Robertson offered generations of viewers a connection to the world.
I'm Lloyd Robertson. We'll see how the world came to Canada.
His authoritative voice was a landmark of the Canadian broadcast landscape for over 6 decades.
I'm Lloyd Robertson, and I used to live here.
Robertson's early years in Stratford, Ontario shaped his lifelong love of news. He recounted he was bitten by the broadcasting bug when he was a boy. He was watching local radio hosts at CJCS describe the Perth Regiment marching home from the Second World War.
This is Lloyd Robertson.
In high school, he got a job at CJCS. And it's also in high school that he met Nancy Barrett. She would become his wife in 1956 and mother of his 4 daughters. Robertson graduated, continued to spin records and read news until he knocked on CBC's door.
I was hired by the CBC. My voice got me through.
He moved to his first TV job in Winnipeg, going national a few months later on Christmas Day, 1956.
Who do you like, Charlotte?
Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley.
Robertson then worked in Ottawa before heading to Toronto.
We interrupt this program.
He said he fully understood his role in 1963 with the Kennedy assassination, marking the first big event where people tuned into TV rather than radio for breaking news.
I felt that I was now involved in something that really mattered to people. Television news.
Good evening. President Nixon's state visit to Ottawa.
Robertson worked his way to the CBC's flagship news show, The National. But eventually, he grew frustrated with his editorial role.
I was in the wrong union. I couldn't write. I couldn't edit. I could not participate in any way when I did a daily newscast.
Robertson is leaving the CBC after 22 years.
He signed on to CTV in 1976, co-anchoring with then-host Harvey Kirk.
Good evening. Lloyd Robertson joins us tonight for CTV News.
Bringing, says his longtime friend journalist Craig Oliver, instant credibility.
That's Lloyd's legacy. He took this news department and put it on the map.
The partnership lasted until 1984, when Kirk retired from the anchor desk and Robertson became senior news anchor.
To me, it was the equivalent of being knighted.
Throughout his career, Robertson often said he had the rare privilege of having a front row seat to history.
Here's our summary of Apollo 11's Space Odyssey.
Diana and Charles played their parts.
What is there left to say but thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody.
Tonight, face-to-face with...
When he retired from the anchor desk in 2011, it marked the end of an era, said then Prime Minister Stephen Harper.
You've been delivering the news since I was barely more than a boy. You've been doing it for so long and so authoritatively. You've almost become part of Canada's geography.
Welcome back to W5.
Robertson continued to work for CTV's W5 for a time and proved in 2018 that you can't take the news out of a news anchor.
And I was able to walk away from this. And it's a pretty bad accident, as accidents go, and of accidents I've covered over the years myself.
That's him reporting live on his own car accident.
Longtime anchor of CTV News, he has gained public trust for his integrity.
He received numerous recognitions, the Order of Canada, a Doctor of Laws from BC's Royal Roads University. A park was named after him.
I'm about to be yesterday's news.
He often said the greatest honor of his life was to chronicle the times, the events that marked Canada and the world for so long.
And that's the kind of day it's been. I'm Lloyd Robertson. For all of us here at CTV News, good night. It strikes me that if you find something you love to do, hi guys, and you are able to do it, that's about as good as it gets in life.
Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News.
And there will truly never be another broadcaster like Lloyd Robertson in this country ever again.
I remember that crash, and he was just eloquent on CP24. I remember thinking, he's better than all of us still.
The master.
Taking notes. He was just the best. He'll be missed.
I'm really enjoying all the reminiscing. We miss him so much already. Well, let's take one more look at the weather for the rest of the day, beginning with overnight tonight. It's going to be another warm one. 20 degrees for the low. There's a look. A clear sky. Tomorrow, though, sunny to start. Risk of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Heat-wise, we remain in the upper 20s right through the end of this week and into the weekend. There's a snapshot of your 7-day forecast. Sunday looks sunny. Saturday, we're going to keep an eye out for some showers. Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Dowder. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6.